Good morning. We're all here today. We got to fly yesterday. That was good. And Quebec Tango, where are you? Quebec Tango.
Quebec 2.
Quebec 2. I keep saying Tango.
Yes.
Give us your story. Yeah. It's all about the story and the people. You know?
Well, I hit the highest altitude yesterday of 13,000 feet. I got low over an airport called Skydive, and looked down at the airport, and the runways down there are really narrow. They've got some blue 55-gallon drums that I really didn't think I could even get a 15-meter between. So I landed in a soybean field right next to the runway, and the jump instructor came out and helped me out, and it was really great. The people there were good. And he said, everything's fine, but you got a choice. You're going to pay a $500 landing fee, or you're going to take a jump. So I started doing the math in my head, and I said, well, you know, $200 for a jump and $100 for the video. I said, okay, I'll do the jump. So I got up to 13,000 feet, and I'll tell you, it's a lot different looking out 13,000 feet out of a cockpit in your plane, or looking out with the door wide open, standing on the edge getting ready to do this, you know. And it was quite an experience. 50 seconds later, I was on the ground. And, it was quite an experience. So if you have a chance to try it, I would recommend that everybody give it a shot. So it was a great time.
Is that your first and only jump?
It's my first and hopefully only jump. Yeah.
Okay, today for introductions, Juliet Whiskey.
My name is Jay Walker. I fly outside Philadelphia. My wife Tiffany and my son Culver here, and I'm lucky to have Paul Whedon as my professional crew. Feeling much better these days. Let's see, questions. I started flying when I was 14 years old. My father was a private pilot and got me started in aviation, but one day I was being a typical 14-year-old and watching TV and saw an episode of The Bionic Man that he flew in a blimp. And I said, that looks pretty neat. And I realized I could solo at 14. So I started checking around and found a glider club that was only 5 miles away from the house. So I went there and got a ride, subsequently joined the club. But the big thing that happened to me about a month or two later, again watching TV, I saw a documentary on PBS that was a program on the 1974 Worlds in Australia, if I remember right. And George Moffat won that, and they had Tommy Belts and all that stuff, and they instantly became my heroes, and I've pretty much been hooked ever since. Interesting note, I guess, I got my license on my 16th birthday and actually took both my parents for a ride before I could drive a car legally, so I was...
Quebec 2.
I'm Bob Morhart. I fly out of Springfield, Vermont. I first got interested in gliders when I was just a young kid. I took an aerial tram up to Cannon Mountain, and when I got to the top, somebody was flying out of Franconia and flew over the top of Cannon Mountain, and I said, well boy, one day I'm going to do that. And it took me a long time to finally do that. About 10 years ago, I just realized I was getting older, and I said, you know, if I don't do this, I'm never going to do it. And so I just took the time to try and get involved with it. I've pretty much made parts for the aircraft industry all my life, powered aircraft, and I love flying planes with no engine, so go figure.
blunt.
Yes.
Del Tequila.
Morning, I'm Don Crush, I'm fly out of the Chicago Glider Club, and my wife Pat is here with me as my crew, and I appreciate her picking me up yesterday from skydiving. So I saw the bean field land, and there was another glider down, and I'm thinking, well, what's the problem? I mean, do they hate gliders that much that we got to land in the beans here? But I decided I'd land on where the jumpers land. It was much wider. And the deal they offered me, apparently didn't want to tandem jump with me because the deal was I had to pay the $500 landing fee or I had to let them fuel it up. So I told them to fill it up. I took my first tow in 1969. In 67, someone had already mentioned the National Geographic article. I read that and it pretty much wore the magazine out. It was a wonderful article. It made it look like it would be a lot of fun. I don't think they said anything about landouts in the article. So then starting in 69 and starting to read Soaring magazines with the wonderful write-ups by George Moffat about the Nationals in 69, the World in 70, and I was enthralled reading about contest flying, and maybe the last great article about contest was in '85 when Doug Jacobs wrote about the Worlds. That was great to read that. Sorry for that advertisement. I wish we had more contest write-ups like that by the guys that win them because that's, I've learned an awful lot and it got me here and that's why I still do it because it sounded like it was going to be fun.
Thank you. Romeo Oscar Yankee.
Hi, my name is